Well.
Hello.
Hello. Coming at you live in the studio audience here at the Stricker CRE warehouse, also dubbed Stricker CRE office space these days. Be part of your host, Derrick Stricker, designated broker, Stricker CRE, and we have
Jazmine Murillo with Stricker CRE.
your Tri-Cities commercial real estate experts and enthusiasts to grow in our market one transaction at a time. All right, we're getting back together after 90 days into the new year of 2025. Yeah. Holy smokes.
I feel like it's been a sprint.
It's first quarter is always just a sprint in the dark, and now it's sunny out, so feels like it was 120 days at least in 90 days, if not 2 full quarters.
I mean, I think I have significantly more gray hair, but
yeah, it shows. Just joking.
I know.
Yeah, I know. They should have a picture of me from 3 years ago and the thing yesterday, and then people go, and I go, "Hey, small business woes, man. Yeah. Market,
all of it.
You're gonna feel it. Your body doesn't forget
the trauma,
trauma and drama." But we're here to talk about trauma, drama, and all the upsides and the good things we've kind of seen of the market after seeing what last year really was after a full year of going through it and seeing what the last 90 days was, and let's kind of get into it.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's your first question? Just joking.
Like my first question. I mean, where do we want to start, right? Do we want to do a little recap of last year and our feelings of last year? Or do we want to just jump into
I feel like therapeutically I would do that. Okay. I wasn't planned, but I've been talking to Jay like, hey, we don't need to do a full year review, but I feel like I learned so much last year from it in so many different ways that like reflecting on it would be probably a positive thing for us to do a little bit.
I think so.
Okay. Well, I would say last year was weird.
Yeah.
I feel like every year since COVID has kind of been weird in a way. And it's hard because like a couple big deals can just kind of make you think it's normal or something or activity.
Yeah.
But when you're able to kind of look back and like all the sectors of, all right, asset type, is it retail, industrial, leasing or selling, listings that are still listed, not sold, or it was a weird year. It was a pause. It was like started off so hot.
Yeah.
But was it a hot transactional or a hot with enthusiasm coming off a banger of a year in 2023?
I mean, I think for us, it's definitely related to just the enthusiasm of a new year. It's a fresh start. You know, everyone's a little bit more organized just right off the jump, right? And I think, at least for me, COVID was my 3rd year in commercial real estate. So there hasn't been like a normalcy created. Even, you know what I mean?
Yeah, every year's
like every year's been different. And when I talk about it with other people too, I'm like, every year it's just different because that's how it's been since COVID. I mean, COVID was a great year, right?
Yeah.
In our market and everything like that. And then 2023 was amazing, but we also had different enthusiasms going into that year too.
For sure, you're right.
Interesting.
Every year has been so different. And I look at my 13 years now. Ugh.
Don't age yourself.
I know, right? Like they track. I think like my first 5 or 7 years, you kind of skewed by like just getting in everything in the industry, in the market, learning, the turn down the deals, whatever. Maybe you're not able to see like all the macro of like what's happening besides just being in it and loving it, even though maybe you're not making any money, which I wasn't. But now just using like the last 6 years, because 2019 was like my year. Yeah. Right? That's what I thought. I was like, oh, it's destined to do this right here. Let's keep it going. That's 5 years ago now. And like since the 5 years, which is because of that year, we're here in this podcast. Like that's kind of what helped open up this buffer and gap to like hopefully reinvest back into me and build a machine and a team so we can go do the things we're so great at and want to learn more without being slowed down by the rest of the, business process cycle. But you're right, COVID was so weird. 2021 for me was my Achilles rupture. So that really threw me off.
A scooter.
Mentally scooting around. I'm still have trauma, drama, and mental aspects from that. 22 was starting Stricker CRE and leaving NAI and that whole process and all those things that go with that, and other brokers out there would understand all that minutia, fun stuff, worth it. 23 was the first full year of us doing this, right? Full team, all of us here, Jay, Bree, Julie, hiring Emily, everything, just all that kind of stuff. I don't know we should use names here, but we are. And that was the breakout year. That was like, hey, us kind of enthusiastically having fun, building something different. The market was responding because it was like kind of sick of being locked up.
I think the market was over COVID.
Yeah.
By then. Yeah. So everyone was aggressive, whether it was buyers, sellers, or tenants. You know what I mean? Everyone was ready to make a deal because they've been holding back, waiting for the market to change. But I mean, it really didn't shift significantly in like a downward way.
Yeah. It just paused. Yeah. Because it was like, even in like 21, we had some big deals going through because it just kind of showed that, the regional and national players that were still in our market or expanding our market or want to get into tertiary markets like Tri-Cities. I feel like they were still doing it. And those were $1, $3, $5 million deals, transactions, bigger leases, kind of mass, no pun intended. The smaller stuff, the regional, local stuff, not happening.
Well, that was a lot of like land acquisition, which we're only now seeing the benefit from. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because that takes forever.
It does take forever. But it's like 23, and then that's where the ramp up. Hey, we just crushed that first full 12 months. This is what you get when the juice worth the squeeze. Let's go do it again. Let's expand. And I feel like it was, I mentioned it yesterday when I had that Chamber of Commerce chairman's breakfast. Everyone's like, life updates and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, all right, how real do I want to be? And I want to be like, oh, things are great. Mentally, physically, fiscally, let's roll. Or it's like, hey, that was a year like 2.5 of startup and start seeing the actual, just like our clients and the small businesses, the tough stuff, personnel, HR, pipeline, operations, family, health, all those things kind of came into all of a sudden like, let's just talk market share and deal making, but that's not always the case. I feel like that's why it's like, hey, went through some small business woes and I feel like we're better from it though. I feel like that was the reality. Kind of get back to the point. It's just, we thought it was going to be and leading that way too, is going to be a banger of a year in 24, but the things just never got there to hit. And then once it got into summertime of last year, the election was too close. And I never saw that before. Kind of like real players pulling their chips off the table and say, hey, let's talk post-election. Regardless of like candidate, just get the election done and then we'll make moves.
There was just no conversation. It was, I'll call you in January.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And they were even hot and heavy. They were here touring. They flew in. They had a whole group or even locally, but then all of a sudden just nothing.
Yeah.
And check up in Jan. And you're like, well, okay, we'll just go find other deals. And then I feel like another quarter went by and you're like, well, shit, where are the deals? We're trying to do it. We're working just hard. But that's what I kind of learned. I feel like it takes 6 months in Tri-Cities and I think tertiary market to like find a trend. Because even when we're just doing those 2024 stats versus 2023, if you look at them, they almost look similar. But if you remove like an outlier, you're like, see, it's down. It's down 38% from the
right. And the outlier has a story, which explains how we got there.
Exactly. It's like, how did industrial sell more last year than the year before? Well, if you take out the Reasers full price $50 million offer, all of a sudden that average transaction and footprint and total volume show the real case, which is okay. Even industrial, the hottest sector out there, kind of besides multifamily, wasn't moving.
Well, I think even multifamily was quiet.
Agreed.
I think though it's just because we've seen a lot of turnover in our market over the last like 5 years of purchasing.
Like of ownership?
Like of ownership, yeah. It's all switch already kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like everything that had a 1980s kind of
they sold.
C or B is gone. That's over,
sold in 2023.
Got the good money.
Which was great for them, yeah. Got the good money. And now I think a lot of them are readjusting to the fall finally from COVID. I feel like that's finally starting to affect the residential side.
How so?
Just with vacancies and also the cost of living. I mean, when you look at our apartments and where the rents are at, right? We have such a big swing in pricing for a 1-bedroom. It's all location and age and everything like that. You can only keep those buildings at 96% occupancy so much. And then after you get over $2,500 a month, there's only so many people that can't afford that, you know?
Is that the race for more multifamily in general and housing? Just because, like, hey,
Yeah,
every single grade level of that residential multifamily is needed by someone living here or moving here.
100%. I think though that's also why we have so much demand in our area. Yeah, the market was quiet last year, right? But we also don't have enough supply. Every conversation I've had in the last month and a half, 2 months from a tenant rep side has been, why is there nothing else? Why are these the same 12 options that you sent me in January? Because those are the only options.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. We've always been undersupplied Tri-Cities. I always kind of call it which is their saving grace, right? Which if I was in charge, probably not, but like steady Eddie. Yeah. No matter what, Spokane's got big enough to go up and dive down and come back up and find arbitrage and up and down cycles. But here we're just like, oh, it's slow. But we're still holding the same trajectory. Direction correct, but like not. And I think that's where it's kind of starting to catch back up right now, which is everyone's just kind of holding. But they only hold so long. And so I feel like everyone in 24 want to make a move. Got the information to make moves. Maybe updated their factors, like, hey, it's not post-COVID financing. Those rates don't exist anymore. Hey, banks have actually always a way of hammered down more down payment, LTVs, just risk factors in their conservative nature. So I think they have a very educated buyer market, leasing market, seller market, but no one to do anything yet. And then now you have that pent up demand, which has been the last thing, saying, hey, it's this all I got? Well, yeah. And until those go away, I don't think other stuff's gonna come on the market either. So like those first 2 windows, which is where we're in right now, which is like, all right, hey, Q1's ended, Q2's here. If you didn't get anything done last year, you can't 12-month renew forever. You can't wait for 5%, 4% money to show back up. So those that are gonna make a move, I think have to make a move in 2025.
Yeah.
Okay. What was something that surprised you in 24 while we're still kind of talking, a little reflection as we get into the new year?
Like
all of it.
All of it.
All the above.
Yeah, the entire year. It definitely wasn't what I anticipated it to be, right?
No.
I think that going into 2024, I definitely thought there was going to be a lot more sales transactions, a lot more 2 properties to even list that made sense. But the few that we looked at when we tried to get them to pencil, it sometimes just didn't work, taking into consideration the rates and things like that. And also sellers' expectations of price, right?
Exactly. I feel like just like the buyers want yesteryear's deal making ease and economics and rates, sellers too wanted yesteryear's ease of selling and transacting and cap rates and dollar per square foot.
Yeah. Well, and I think too that that's where some decided, well, it's just not my time to sell then, right? You know, like they have that expectation. Also, it's cash flowing, so there isn't necessarily a reason unless they had one. And I think that those were the sellers that put properties on the market last year were those that were then exchanging or looking at other property or were just ready to be out of commercial real estate, that kind of thing.
Yeah. That makes sense. I think my biggest one, and there's too many to list last year. I mean, I literally could be its own podcast. Look for that future. But yeah, definitely not the year I thought it was going to be. And I learned that. I think I always look back at my career like, okay, hey, yeah, keep enthusiastically moving these things with reality. Have expansion dreams, but maybe I need to be a little more conservative too. Right. Just, I mean, being open about that. I want to share that because that's a big thing. And, you know, it gave me a chance to maybe dive back into the actual business as a business owner versus just being a broker. and seeing it from 2 different lenses. Like, all right, hey, this just can't broker into here. What's the real thing? What's the real scope? Clarity is kindness with the team. We're all doing what we need to do. What's priority? What's wants and needs, right? Because now you can't actually have to choose those versus things were flowing, 1031s, facilitating, picking up all these deals.
Right.
Okay, well, let's make this fine tune the program, which has a great opportunity to use that softness, slowness of the transaction to get the business ship set up and right, so that now it can hit the waters well and the winds and things and catch sail. But I think my biggest thing was the lack of 1031s last year. I feel like,
yeah, I never really participated in that, but obviously just working with you, right? I think I was also anticipating just on your behalf for a lot more of that exchanging to go on, because I definitely think it's a process that I want to learn more about too and watch. Yeah. Just because eventually it'll come again, right?
It will. And it will, A, for you, and 2, in the market. But just like, it was like usually it was not like a blind luck. Like, hey, usually an out-of-town investor that wants to be in Tri-Cities. And I was just telling the client earlier, like, hey, I'm no longer like have to sell Tri-Cities like I used to. Hey, I'm Derrick from the Tri-Cities East Side. You never heard of it? We're here at a conference in Chicago or Texas. And now they all kind of know about it. So I don't sell that, which is nice. I think the last 5-6 years and COVID helped tertiary markets kind of push up the popularity of deal making. And I think a lot of people in those markets, Portland, Seattle, on the West Side, they don't want to buy in their own market right now. It's kind of its own dumpster fire in different ways. And I think that's who is supposed to be kind of looking in. And usually, hey, I want in, but I can exchange this thing and find this and find their options. But I feel like in Tri-Cities, back to the supply woes, there's not much to trade into. So unless they had the right thing to trade into, it didn't create that kind of sense of urgency or demand. It's like, hey, it's always. It just kind of all calmed it. And I think everyone here locally that, hey, let's make a deal and sell. Like you said, I don't want to sell. I don't need to. I'll just wait because I don't know what I'm going to exchange into. I want to see how this kind of shit comes together in the next 12 months anyway before I make any kind of...
Yeah, they have a lack of supply themselves.
Yeah. So there's like a reason to not do something. Everyone had a real reason tangibly not to do something versus a life event. Yeah. Divorce, tax, whatever. Yeah, lack of exchanges, but that's what I kind of thought, like, hey, they got to at least have some hit. And we had a couple, but not like before. There's that December year in. That's where I kind of love that part of the year. But the thing that we'll learn was it all got pushed into Q1 now. Yeah. Not the same intensity of, but I feel like everyone who was ready to make a move, watch the election, can't wait much longer than 12 months, has to make a move. And you sell a property, it's the trust is taking it, or they're going to take the actual tax hit, or they're going to diversify. Hey, we're getting on multifamily and we're getting into, industrial, which was the second highest rent growth versus multifamily since COVID. Okay, so you've seen people geopolitically getting out of multifamily for state reasons or anti-landlord law reasons or just diversification reasons that come up here, but lack of options still. And then it looks kind of weird too. Like, well, hey, I think you guys are doing great. What's going on? But now it's like Jan 1 hit, phones that are activating again. I feel like once Feb 1 hit, now all of a sudden, like, okay, those exchanges were taking taking this deal, going under contract, want to make sure what's on the horizon. So if I get this deal done on my ID list, got some stuff. So it kind of told me like the major dollars were Feb, March, April. So I think the next month we'll have another like things closing out, and then they have the time. All right, what are they buying? Maybe they're already engaged under contract. Right. I mean, it's like Logan Street Warehouse, right? But I think that wave will then domino hopefully the second quarter. Like it may not be exchanges, right? But like, at least it's taking those bigger deals off the table and putting that sense of urgency back in every investor or,
Well, and also sellers for them to see that the market is moving, right?
And some of them are getting the dollars they want. I mean, we're paying full price for the warehouse, right? But that's also like that buyer wanted that. Right. That wasn't my first offer.
They're motivated.
It wasn't my first offer. Yeah. But like they're motivated and like geopolitically, hey, we want.
But also there's a lack of supply.
Totally. And this person is like, hey, we tried doing the deals in Portland, dumpster fire, options, couldn't find stuff. Spokane, Seattle. I mean, he reached out like, I want to be in Tri-Cities. I've never been to Tri-Cities, but like came with a thought. Yeah. And these other markets inspired him like, hey, this is a good deal and it's available. So like, let's go. And I think that will inspire, like I said, more sellers. All right, now what's next? What's their exit? Or what's their opportunity?
Yeah.
What's their time frame? Okay. A lot of words.
It's good to get them out.
It is good to get them out. Yeah, it's therapeutic. Like unique New York.
Our podcast time and therapy time.
I mean, it's been a while since different location. Yeah, so okay, so let's talk Q1. So it was kind of heavy exchange stuff, but basically that was the bulk of bigger money in Tri-Cities was, I think, exchange driven. Now it's in this last 60 days and this next 30 days. So how's the activity been in Q1? Are we in the up and up? Yeah, exchanges and a couple of things. That's cool. But like, what's your sense overall how Tri-Cities is right now heading into Q2 with whatever momentum we have in Q1?
I'm excited.
Okay.
I would say Q1 for me definitely reminded me that I love tenant rep.
For
sure. I love small business. They're all near and dear to my heart. But I do think that, I mean, even 2024 reminded me of that because I did a lot more leasing last year even, right? And just getting back into that mindset and the routine, because there is a routine piece of it and a checkbox, right? That you checklist that you go through when you're like, okay, I'm representing this tenant. What are the 12 most important things, even though there's more than that, right? Let's go over the list. And I think this first quarter, we pushed so much more activity than normal on the leasing side, at least.
For sure.
I think like 92% of our deals were leasing.
Yeah.
Which is, it makes sense, right?
Yeah. What was it? It was like
one sale.
What was it?
Office condo.
Dr. T.
Yes, Dr. T. And what I realized too, about like 85% were all retail users, which is really interesting. Yes and no. It was interesting to actually look at the data, right? Because obviously we get through the transactions, get to the finish line, you're excited for the tenant, client, all the things. But seeing where the market's moving and what's actually moving as far as product goes, I was kind of surprised. I felt like there was more office built into that, but there wasn't, looking at the data.
It is. And I feel like wonder if like the first trough to dry up of activity last year was retail. That smaller retail, right? Hey, if you're a small business and you still got to put on a new shell $65,000 in your business, you're probably more likely to do that right now than you were August of last year.
Right.
Mindset. So that's the first bucket to kind of move is breakthrough is hurry and grab those great spaces.
Right.
And they're probably willing to take on that risk more now than they were.
And a lot of those users are strong, right? Can you hear that?
The rain. Nice.
Sorry.
No.
A lot of those users are strong though, right? They came to the table, they were ready to go. They have their personal financials. They have a good amount of cash on hand. So that part was easy. It was, looking at all of their options and also saying, hey, you could potentially buy something. Is that something you want to do? Right? Because I feel like with my clients, it's always a topic of conversation, looking at rental rates and things like that. What are your 5-10 year goals kind of thing?
Yeah.
And a lot of them were like, nope, this is the location. This is the only option. I have to lease. Right? Because there isn't anything in this area for sale.
Yeah, it's like, exactly. So it's like, hey, I'd rather put $60,000 of cash into my own TI or build out for leasing it than trying to come up with $150,000 down and buy something and go through financing and SBA kind of stuff, probably because of the lack of supply.
Right.
And if it is like we have one downtown there, we have one across the river there, and one in North. Well, that's not what I want to be. So it's just lease, hurry up, because if you don't take those spots,
they're going to be gone.
They're gone.
I had 2 clients today that they have walked the properties a couple times. Right. We've gone back probably 3-4 times now. Obviously, hey, take your time. Let me know. Both of the spaces have LOIs on them now. And I'm like, there's nothing else in this area that you wouldn't be in. So we're definitely seeing a push for demand and also a lot of urgency is being created in the market because they're both like, okay, well, let's get something in now, right? Because we have time in a sense. And also like, it depends on what the offer looks like and I don't get to see it. So.
Yeah, no, that I agree that I think from a brokerage and brokering, like, hey, diversifying your clientele to keep alive and keep doing deals. It's Not that we went 5 quarters with no deal making, but just not the same velocity it has been in the past. So I agree. I think as a broker and business brokerage, like having leasing is so helpful, because when the sales dry up, if I'm if I'm an investment broker from Seattle and that's all I do, you got a bigger market to play with, but still, like, hey, that's a hard business in a tertiary market. And I think that it all relates back, because those leasing brings back to sellers seeing what's going on and feeling good
it's all
about
related
stuff. And I think the numbers are still very close to what yesteryear. They're not being like discounted. Rental rates aren't, we're not you're not in a recession. Things are slow. There's some.
Don't say that word.
Okay. I meant succession.
No, I mean, I would say I mean, I didn't look at it, but probably 90% of those leases didn't have a discount on the base rent.
No.
There isn't a discount being created. Ownerships aren't offering them. But I would say too, a lot of them are priced where they should be priced, right? Like,
yeah, you're not being a-holes.
Yeah. So it makes sense, because when you look at the limited options we have, they're all within reason of the asking rent. I think it more so has gotten, at least for some of my tenants, more into the triple nets, because that's where we're seeing some higher numbers, right?
For sure.
And when we have to have the conversation of the triple nets are half of your base rent,
yeah,
how do you feel about that, right? That's a full circle conversation. And hey, can we get the CAM breakdowns, right? And some people are easier to get them from others, but like seeing what they're paying for.
Yeah. I mean, here's a softball. What are 2 reasons triple nets have increased price so much these days?
Taxes and insurance.
Ah, yes.
Because there was no snow. So that should hardly be in the budget.
It is. I mean, hey.
Insurance, honestly, that's the biggest one. And I think I'm thankful that I'm not on the property management side. Shout out Julie. Because those are hard conversations. But as a tenant rep broker right now, right, that's also a conversation that I'm having now. This is a variable rate, and I need you to 100% understand that.
Yeah.
Because it's not locked in unless you put a cap, which I haven't gotten a cap in like 18 months on my nets.
Yeah, and I think a lot of only nationals demand that and get it.
Yeah.
And they're such a pain in the butt on the PM side, but as is life. But no, I think it is. I think it's educating to property taxes. Our counties, Benton and Franklin County, have, it's tough. They're always in the rears. So when it's not cool, because property values are killing it 2 years ago, but now we're feeling it and we're not killing it. It sucks. It stands out. And who hurts? The end user, right? It's the small businesses, the chambers.
Trickles down.
It's the trickle down part of it. So taxes keep going up, even though things are kind of slowed. Insurance has gone up a lot. I hope that it can at least hold flat or slow its growth from what it was at. But it used to be like, hey, $5 a square foot for triple nets. Now you're like, it's probably $650 at least.
And that's like,
and that's probably not paying your PM.
That's like, we need to make sure that it's $650.
Yeah.
I mean, anything in Pasco, I think, is at almost like $750, $850 a foot.
Are those office buildings or like retail too?
I feel like that's a mix.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like someone's have a load factor, like bigger common area. Like,
right. There is one that's like $950 in Pasco right now, but it has a good amount of common area.
Wow.
But I need to look at the expenses a little bit more. I'm like, wait a minute.
Sorry.
I just feel like it's aggressive for what it is.
For sure.
But that's also, when you look at the numbers and you get the breakdown, it is what it is sometimes. There is no point in arguing, because it's a real
they're almost like the tenants are like looking more at the triple nets than the base pricing. Like,
right.
Hey, I'm cool with 30 a square foot. What's up with the $650 triple net? But they do seem to be just taking, like I said, they're pricing it right though. So I think it's important to stay there. And I think deals are getting done. I think it's right. It comes down to really the TI build out costs, and same time, how much these energy codes cost and city kind of things in the last 24 months have impacted the bottom line too. So it's just I feel like it's just as a business owner in commercial real estate, the costs are just a lot right now. And not just from the economy,
even the time frame though, like when we do have a tenant that's building out and things like that, really getting an idea of how long they essentially need that rent abatement, right? And also working through and navigating the conversation with the landlord's representative of, you want them to, be paying full rent while they're still only in month 2 of the build out.
Yeah.
how is that affordable? Because you don't want them to fail, ultimately. No. I would hope not. But also, that's the conversation, right? The dialogue of you want and maybe need them to be successful.
How's demand for office space evolved? Just maybe in Q1, with the shifts of hybrid, remote, etc. I always said since COVID, and for Tri-Cities, office is not a bad word here.
Right.
We don't have big buildings and verticals. It's we don't have 15,000 square foot users. We have 1,500 to 5,000 square foot, very diversified footprints. Very kind of like, normal / basic build outs. If they left, next person's not inheriting a weird thing. I think we still had less than basically 10% vacancy in office overall. We led the league, I feel like, and in the state for sure, vacancy in office. Plus, most businesses need to go in office or retail. We don't have the office complexes. Right. North Richland's its own thing. And even those ones, with that garlic portfolio is 500,000 square foot that they're selling right now. I think it's 98% leased, and then Richardson Road and all this stuff out there. There's no real, if you're vacant out there in North Richland,
call us.
Yeah, call us. But if you're vacant right now, it's because you probably have a 7-foot ceiling.
Yep.
A 1980s decor. And
you don't have an elevator.
No elevator. And the TI to renovate that on a 20,000 square foot floor plate,
right,
says no. Like, I don't want to do that. So I think that's its own thing. But I think really office here, I think with some, hey, we're a government town, with the Doge movement and stuff. Like there's a building we manage and there's a whole floor that's just kind of 32 offices and not many physical people. And that parking lot's the most full I've ever seen in 2 years. And so I think it's like, hey, it's getting back to work in general, regardless of the national or Trump and that kind of stuff, saying stuff, but just like, hey, back to work is pushing it. Whatever vacancy remote there was kind of really North Richland, because we don't have a lot of tech here. We're not consulting and tech and kind of floating around and doing stuff. We're all insurance, real estate, farmers, medical here. I think there was a little bit more of a push to get back in the office. And I can see that out there in North Richland, especially just the parking lots are more full. And, I think our main federal building in downtown Richland is, right next to John Dam, but that's occupied. There's people in there. That parking lot's very full. So it was like that was like a sitting vacant, doing nothing and costing money. But I feel like we didn't have much to kind of rush back into because we've been in it since we were out of it for a hot minute. I feel like that's kind of a sector that has supply, but some weird political things do it. But I think getting better. Other than that, though, I feel like everything's kind of on. I mean, retail's retail. If retail's basically your retail, it's going to be new development, unless you're. Actually, that's not true. Retail. So, not using the R word, recession. Larger national tenants, retail, but I do think that hey, the Joann's Fabrics, these large nationals, these kind of discount, the stores, the craft stores, the Dollar Trees, or the dollar, those things. Dollar Tree's not going out, just single tenant retail, party stores, so all this kind of more like larger footprint retail stuff you can buy online.
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't buy my crafts online, I guess, if I was crafting, but
I do.
I mean, how do you know what bedazzle you want to get, though?
It's not for me. It's the kids.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I'm in it. I'm gonna lead it.
But I get what you're saying.
It's hard. But I feel like that outside big retail, national retail, which is what the investment grade stuff is, I feel like it's been pretty calm and steady.
Yeah.
Besides restaurants. Yes, no? It's restaurant.
Like I haven't even thought about them, honestly. Just because that's not what's been moving this quarter for me, right? So that's not top of mind.
No, but I feel like that's who's. So you have the larger retailers that are corporate-wise struggling, shutting down, closing markets, those kind of things. A lot of those landlords are larger regional or malls sign in other people. But then I look back at like, hey, Fat Olives, you know, we got the old 894 Stevens. Tumbleweeds, which we leased up to Muchas Gracias. Go check it out, 2 a.m. Fresh Leaf Co. You know, you see these other kind of restaurant business being, hey, this is tough. So, you know, under that national, much more smaller, much more local.
Okay.
You know, hey, if I'm Hop Jacks and I have got these locations, I'm regional, I'm around the states and the 5 states. Okay, they're doing well and they're bigger stuff. But I think it's more of that, hey, if you're local and you've been doing a restaurant business for a while, it's probably like, hey, what's my next step? Am I retiring? Do I want to keep doing this? Is there something better for me? Because I think just like complaining and bitching about insurance and property taxes and permit fees and impact and that kind of stuff, on top of people actually, you know, consumers, fickle food costs, short. I see a rub there. You know, that's where I see people being like, well, if I'm not in catering, why am I doing this?
Yeah. Well, and how am I making my money?
Exactly. Or I'm doing the restaurant to make the money in the catering because the restaurant's
to support the food truck too.
And it was fun. It was the start of the thing, but it's also like, it's what probably crushes a business owner at night, in the middle of the night, and those things are just trying to run that actual part.
Right.
And I feel like that's what we're seeing now is some of these restaurants turning over, which is opportunity for the next thing. You know, it's going to be still a restaurant. It's going to be another bank. You know, I mean, you know, what is it? But, you know, with a drive-through, that's what kind of brings things up. Either there's a new QSR model or it's going to become a bank almost. And
it's already there because the drive-through is expensive.
I mean, I hear there are over $100,000 these days in all 3 cities. And back in the day, there was no impact fee for that. And I don't think it's solving much by throwing that sticker tag on it. But, okay. What else do you want to talk about?
I don't know.
Okay. Industrial is industrial. That's what's kind of weird.
Boring.
Well, it's been boring, even though I love it so much, SIOR. But we're not building anything. You know, we're not building more warehouses.
You're not building anything with a dock.
Still have no dock high doors. We still have nothing above 15,000 square feet, let alone 50,000 square feet.
Right.
I think I have like over 400,000 square foot of like co-brokered interest in dock high or just dry warehouse or whatever over 25,000 square feet that we just have nothing to fill. And or land to even give them now.
Well, and access, I feel like, has been a big issue.
Physical access?
Like physical access for trucks and things like that.
Yeah. If it's available, it's way too tight. Not really operational, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a blessing and a curse. Hey, all 3 cities, Kennewick hasn't been in the industrial game since they shut down Vista Field. I would say 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago.
I didn't even know that used to be a thing.
I know. It's part of the Vista Vision Task Force, VVTF. And you know where all the Gensco and all that kind of stuff out there was, right? You know, but now that's 104 acres, 3 acres that was zone industrial, right? Right. So you took that away. Kennewick has nothing left. Downtown's not really.
But access is an issue down there.
Exactly. Wrong part of town.
Yeah.
For access or
those roads don't work.
Or amenities or whatever it is, it's not set up. Railroad Avenue does not consist of industrial pocket of opportunity. Right. That's where I'm kind of, you know, Southridge, UGA area. That's the thing with, I see now how quick I became 40. I'm like, well, what shit didn't happen? We've been talking about this for 10 years now and it's still not here. So, hey, Richland, Pasco. All right. Do you guys have industrial? And I feel like Richland has Horn Rapids. Okay. That's its kind of own sector. You got some of the airport, which is still kind of Horn Rapids.
Yeah. That's like
very small, right? Just
flex. Like, yes, it's industrial, but it's more like flex industrial, in my opinion.
True. I have like some of the original flex was exactly that port stuff off the airport there, Terminal Drive and that kind of stuff.
That's what we should talk about, flex space.
That's exactly what I was going to just segue into. Yeah. And we'll come to that, is this Pasco's the only city that actually has industrial to offer at first glance.
Right.
Because when you get in the reality of it, like, okay, Derrick, show me the survey of 20,000 square feet availability. And why did you send me an email with freaking 2 options on it? Don't you do well at your job?
Right.
And it's like, hey, this is what it is. You know, in the port, Pasco, hey, they're full. They're always full down. All the World War II stuff, those are 40,000 square foot waiting list. No one that has a big enough warehouse is moving out of it because they're like, hey,
they need it.
They need more space. And even if they got death, divorce, or taxed to death, someone's going to swoop that real fast. Mm-hmm. So you talk about land options. You're like, well, let's buy land. No land to buy. As soon as you want it, as soon as the city annexes land into it, off fossil wells, all the new Dairy Gold, the new Reezers, the new Amazon, the list continues, which is awesome. And that's where I think the press gets caught up. Like, look at those awesome stuff. And it's true. But outside those 5 things, there's nothing left for the 3 acre, 2 acre, 5 acre, 10 acre user. Someone's got 10,000 square foot that wants to expand in the next 20 and build 10 more and lease out. There's nowhere to go. And so we're now hamstrung by 18 months away of the city to annex land in. Okay, great. Awesome. Doing a good job of that. Drop in 250 acres and we have 25 acres left in 2 years from now. Mm-hmm. So how do you plan around that?
And then you'll get your building in.
And then you get your building in 18 months.
3.5 years into it.
So should I go back to Pocatello, Idaho? Should I go to, I mean, really, that's what I'm hearing them struggle with because they know Tri-Cities. Mm-hmm. They want to be in Tri-Cities.
They see our growth.
They see the growth. Mm-hmm. They see that we're like a different Spokane. Where we're like a little more safe and guarded with more upside in economics. You can buy some deals in Spokane, though. And some discounts and arbitrage, I think. But they want to be here because it's underserved and they can do something. Mm-hmm. And logistically, it's a good spot. But then they struggle because they're just hanging out on the sidelines until
they're waiting.
Actually happens. So I see just too much opportunity lost. And that's what makes me sad and trying to get more stuff in there because we're just losing GDP and jobs and growth and all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But we're focusing on, the good stuff, which is great, but also we already had them. I already had Amazon. I already had Reezers. And Dairy Gold's new, but they've been trying to get here for like 10 years as well. And that's all good stuff.
I mean, they waited though, right?
They did.
It took them time.
It took them time. I think also they were close enough with enough money close by, Sunnyside, other things to make the move.
And be patient though, to wait for it.
So I think that helps. But it's that other body. It's the Chamber of Commerce people. It's developers, it's owner users that want to expand. That we're just kind of caught again, like one more reason not to do stuff, which is disappointing. So, but I do think that turn to, hey, I can't find what I want to do in that stuff. So we'll turn to flex. I brought it back.
Flex.
So flex, you say, is one of the hottest sectors of things, or what would you say about flex?
I would say flex is on the move.
Hotornot.com.
I don't know if I would categorize it as hot, but that's just me. I mean, I think it's appealing though to everyone that's looking right now, whether they're looking for warehouse space or want to use it for retail or an office, because it can't be beat as far as price per square foot goes. So we're seeing a lot of those users that typically wouldn't be in a flex style building. Obviously the zoning has to work, but seeing them build out offices in those spaces because rates are $12 a foot. They're fine with floating the TIs and, they're still okay with the 5-year, 6-year term, whatever they want to do. So we're seeing a lot more of that, in my opinion. And a push for that too, even for like retail space, because the cost in general, right, is expensive.
I think that's like, I think what's made flex industrial / flex retail, hotter the last couple of 24 months appealing is the construction costs, because offices got crazy, retail's got everything's got crazy, where at least middle buildings dressed up with nice decor and facades and things, or even interior build outs, you get a vaulted ceiling, you get height, you get this kind of flexibility.
Well, industrial chic is a thing.
I've been all about that. I think I had a project.
We're in it right now.
I mean, we're literally in it. The cameras just spool around a little bit, but it's like, exactly. I think it costs less than everything else, but delivers better than everything else, I think, too.
Yeah. Well, and I think, too, a lot of the property owners that have built flex space lately are also doing a great job at it. They're providing things at more of a turnkey space where it may just be 4 walls, but you do have your basics, right? And then you take it from there. So it's not such a long process for the build out. It's more like a 4-month process for permitting and whatnot versus 8, because you have to start from gravel.
Shorter time frame on the flex, I think, overall. And I think from a build out for the spaces themselves so that tenant, the end user, the window can do it. I don't think, and I think you're right that price per pound, it's like the best deal. Mm-hmm. And if you're a landlord building it, it's the best deal in the safest way in this current environment of the unknowns. Mm-hmm. And I think, you can charge $20 a square foot for some really nice, sexy flex, industrial chic, and get it leased up, where that used to be $9 a square foot. Mm-hmm. And old school Gary Gregg, or 20's high, okay. 16.
Yeah.
Okay, in my mind,
okay. Well, I'm like 20 is a little high. Maybe 20 with your nuts in it.
I meant full service.
Okay.
I think it's 16 to 20.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that, like what Kyle was going to do, we're going to do at Flat Top there. I feel like that's 20. Like, mm-hmm. He's going to dress up that flex to be less tap teal and mats in, more retail, but with metal mm-hmm. backs.
Well, and that though space itself is move-in ready. It's its own.
Flat top or
flat top?
Yeah.
I mean, they're both very separate.
Different levels of flex.
Yeah.
Right? Because the flex is like that one. Mm-hmm. He's capturing the businesses.
Yeah, flat top's established.
Yeah. And I think that there's that, because even like Tuscany Plaza, mm-hmm. that's a metal building with stucco and block and brick to dress it up. Mm-hmm. So we got a cheaper shell into it. Mm-hmm. Spend more money on the facade, but also like, all right, 3 sides of the facade, not a full 4 in the whole thing.
Right.
And gave us other opportunities and better roofing. So like, all right, that's a good option. I haven't seen it really done more, but like, I think that's where, Smile Mile, mm-hmm. Jason's building, I've always used an example. That was mm-hmm. a great example of taking the flex to the next kind of nicer level for retail. But I think it is. I think the landlords that are enjoying that product they're building, and the ones that build out the space, get a slab done, throw an office and a bathroom and a demising wall, it's hard to say no to that mm-hmm. for these businesses right now. Because also, you got a couple of listings right now. They're leasing up. That's mm-hmm. what's happening right now. And I think that's probably that. I bet you a second wave that we get is probably finishing up.
Yeah.
Swallow, mm-hmm. Rib 92. Mm-hmm. And hopefully get another project going too. And Flat Top too. Mm-hmm. Right. Which I think Flat Top's just 3 people that came to me last. 3 people at the chamber. Hey, we want to come back. Mm-hmm. Someone else wants to do something.
I know. I got an email about it today.
Benton County.
That one and then another one.
Another one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're missing venue space in general in Tri-Cities. I've always said that.
100%.
And so that just kind of comes up like, well, hey, how can we be there and do more stuff? But no, I do. I think it's evolution. I think Flex wasn't like that a few years back. It's always been good. Gary Gregg, Vista Field, Industrial. But I think that the Flex retail, we should be seeing some more of that. Mm-hmm. Like Wonder could have done that in a different way.
Yeah. Hopefully his building's full though.
Well,
he's going to accept my deal.
He's going to. I think he fills that up, right? And you could choose to do that again somewhere else.
Yeah.
Nice retail, or choose to be Flex retail and doing the same thing. And his spread will be even thicker mm-hmm. if we can shave those costs and still give a good product, a good looking design.
Well, I think too, like those ceiling heights do open the door for so many other avenues in business as far as your tenant options go.
You can bring a basketball hoop in.
We have so many different gyms looking at the Flex building.
Yeah.
But there's a non-compete.
Oh.
So.
That's fun. Yeah, no, I think that's all it is. Okay, real fast. Okay, Q1 data and thoughts. What are some thoughts for Q2? What's in on that? Let's just
keep it moving.
Okay.
I feel excited about the year. I think all the conversations that I am having now, even though we have a couple days left and maybe we'll get another deal done or so. Everyone's excited. Everyone's ready and motivated and also has their business plans put together for me, which I appreciate.
Yeah. I think I'll end with my shtick because I didn't say it yet mm-hmm. in this format. Last 6 to 8 weeks has been the most activity I've seen in 13 months in a healthy way. Mm-hmm. And that not being like, oh, a couple big deals or something like that. Like, offers being made, offers going under contract. Bankers calling us preemptively saying, hey, send me P&L and your OM on this. Mm-hmm. I have a couple clients I want to shop to. Thank you. Like that needs, where was that at last year? Mm-hmm. I get that's a different thing. Local brokers showing up, showing listings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, Athena met a lot of these people for the first time in the last 90 days.
Right.
And she's on month 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps, right? That helps just learn from them, right? Where they're bringing other outside. You can't have all the clients. That's not how it works. They collaborate. So the bankers, the local brokers, I think the out-of-town exchangers, like I said, in that window right now. So they're kind of talking, which spurs conversations or more needs or more tenants or, hey, I don't mind them being month to month, whatever. You know, I work with that. And I think also we're seeing for the first time too is, though a lot of leases in Q1, leasing, buying, selling. We waited all last year. We don't wait forever. So I think all of a sudden, like those sectors of those ecosystems are all lined up and now like, hey, let's go.
They're all moving too.
They're all moving. And I think they might think also, hey, we can't wait 12 more months again to not do anything. We got to freaking go.
Well, and I think too, a lot of the spaces that they thought were still going to be sitting aren't sitting.
Exactly.
And so they're realizing we got to make a move if, you know, we are ready to go because the market's going to go without us.
Exactly. And that's the Q2 prediction is all the good shit's gone. You know, and if it's not, there's supposed to be some stuff there. You know, I would love to sell everything. Dollar Tree and Columbia Point, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But that right Q2 person is that person. Hey, if we don't make a move now, we know that either the market could just slow down and kind of pause for 90 days to figure out what's going on, or are we really in whatever political whatever's going on, or are we trying to build momentum and stack dominoes and say, hey, if we don't get this done by July, we may have to renew, we may have to like not buy. So if we don't go now, we don't know what the future is. So I do think that Q2 multiplies what we just saw the last 2 months. And I don't know what Q3 is, and I've learned to maybe not make my full predictions not out loud, but like, I don't know.
I think maybe just not full expectations.
I think I can do that. Like, I can like,
you can like
thoughts and strategize. I need to do that anyway, but like, hey, we're going to $45 million in deals this year. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know if that's going to happen, but I do think that we can build what we just did in Q1, take those learnings that we're seeing and synthesizing and give them to our clients, give them to people that want us to use as a resource to engage us, to figure out, hey, it's not about right now, it's about the future, but also it's about right now. If you're going to make a move, we got to go.
Yeah.
And if not, let's plan for the steps to help you for the future in the unknown. But I do think that we have a great opportunity in the spring to do some great stuff with landlords and clients and businesses here in Tri-Cities.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Cool. Well, I want to thank you for being here and being a great broker, Jazmine. And it's been awesome to see you along the way, as we've been really broken together for a long time since your career. And I'm very proud and to see your success and how you are really pushing it in the right direction. And I appreciate you being on the team and helping me and sharing your insights here for our people and audience.
Thanks. Yeah. I feel like it's always good to sit down and chat with you because even though we work together, I still learn a lot, right? Just from conversation.
For sure.
Because we can actually talk about things and like focus on the conversation versus the deal.
Totally, because we get in the table, it's like, hey, we're looking at the folders. Folder specific versus like, hey, get above the folder and like generally trends, the things, what is it? That's when we like, oh man, that epiphany.
That's when it gets put together.
Yeah. That's why it's important. I love to schedule this more and give back to. That was kind of a goal of last year, but also I think that didn't quite make sense yet.
We can make it a rock.
We should make it a rock.
Yeah.
That's true. So thank you for being here. Thank you for our listeners and audience for tuning in. And I hope you got some value or some laughter out of some of these things. And I hope to see you in the future again, next episode.
And if you have questions, reach out.